2 minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast. Thirty seconds till broadcast. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
Let me tell you, the response to the show has been absolutely amazing. People can't believe that a young conservative millennial continues to fight for constitutional principles, traditional values, and talks about issues that some are even afraid to talk about. But we do it because we understand the importance of this. And now we're seeing it absolutely blow up all across the nation.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yeah, buddy. Hey, welcome into the Voice of Reason. I am excited, not just because it's a Friday, but because we have a lot of things going on today. There's a lot of things happening. We have Donald Trump on the campaign trail, Joe Biden on the campaign trail. We have COVID updates. We'll get into those in just a second. Joe Biden's hilarious, by the way, on the campaign trail, too. He says some really funny things, even when he's trying not to. He actually went out into public and did a town hall on CNN. Shocker. It wasn't on any other medium platform to where it was somewhat in the middle of the ground. No. It's got to be as far left as you could possibly get. So he had to do it on CNN. Although they had a couple Trump supporters actually ask questions. My first question is, why are Trump supporters on CNN? I think it's a stage. I don't think it's true. But even when it was staged or propped, it was still a botch. Kind of funny. We'll get into that. Plus, coming up at the bottom of the hour, we have Congressman Bob Latta from the 5th Congressional District in the great state of Ohio. He's back on the show. We love getting a monthly update from him. Until then, welcome in. Broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in the flagship station of KQAM in Wichita, Kansas, all over the country on radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting, all over Facebook Live. YouTube Live is back up and running as well. There were some internal changes that they did, and it might actually be better and actually easier for people to find us on YouTube now. So if you go to youtube.com, you can type in Hooser Reason. You'll see that we have an event created now because I guess the live streaming is now doing, instead of just an actual thing, it's actual live event. So we're an event now. That's cool. So you can go on and find us on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Go to youtube.com, find Hooser Reason. You can find the Voice of Reason on there. Subscribe, watch us live as we're slowly but surely growing the YouTube channel, which is really cool. Also on Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, also online at HooserReason.com. If you don't even do the social media thing, don't worry about it. You can go straight to our website at HooserReason.com and find us live streaming on there. You can also listen to the podcast and a whole bunch of goodies as well. So great to have you along today on a Friday. I appreciate you watching us while you're thinking of, gee, the weekend's over, or the weekend's coming up, the week's over. I'm going to relax and chill for a little bit, and yet you turn on the show, so we appreciate that very much. Here's a question. I think this is a repercussion of COVID-19. This is probably one of those unintended consequences, or maybe this has been going on for a while. I don't know. Maybe it's a millennial thing. Not really sure. How happy are you at home if you're stuck at home, quarantined? How happy are you at home with your spouse? It's an interesting question, right? Andy, what are you asking me that for? Here's a study, according to studyfinds.org. People are now happier being with friends than with their spouses, according to the research. Oh, my. Oh, my. I'm thinking this is an unintended consequence that we have during COVID-19. You've been home for so long with your spouse that you're starting to get on each other's nerves. Now, that doesn't happen in my household. Mrs. Voice of Reason and I get along very well, probably because I'm gone for so long, but I enjoy it. We actually, with us starting the Hooser Media Network, working on projects at home, we get along fantastic. I love it, and we're going to be hopefully being able to do that more and more as time goes along, as we continue to build and grow things. So I don't have that problem, but I'm curious. If you have a significant other, maybe if you're used to living alone, if you have been around each other for a really long time, are you sick of each other? And do you get happier being out with friends or with other people than with your spouse? The reason I bring this up, because it's not necessarily political, but it is political. The reason I bring it up is because we're kind of in a catch-22. Right now, we have a generation, my generation, the millennials, that are not liking the whole get together and do the crowds, not just because of COVID, they just don't participate in organizations. If you remember back in the day, the nice, let's say the 50s and the 60s, where you had the white picket fence and the whole dream job, you work and you had the barbecue and you had people come over and you entertain them in your home and you play the piano and you do theatrical things and sing and you play cards and you would go and have bowling clubs and you'd have different organizations and you'd show up and you actually enjoyed going out and being part of a group, part of an organization, part of a community. And it was a great thing, and that's what people look forward to back in the day. Nowadays, that doesn't happen. We don't do that. Now it's social media gatherings. We got a watch party going on. We have an event going on social media. We're in a group text or a group message where we can share things, which is fine, but it's different than actually being in the community and actually being face-to-face with people and actually having conversations. That's starting to slowly go away. Now, whether it comes back or not, I don't know. But are we stuck in a catch-22 here? Because according to studyfinds.org, a study out of Dallas, Texas, Southern Methodist University professor Nathan Hudson finds that people report higher levels of happiness while spending time with family or with friends as opposed to being with their romantic partner. And in fact, the surprising amount of the results show that they reveal being with a romantic partner actually creates the lowest levels of happiness. I know, right? Are you that miserable with your significant other? If you are, then maybe you need to have some conversations with yourself. Now, I know you love your significant other if you have a significant other, whoever that may be. But why would that bring you the lowest levels of happiness? Is it maybe the endorphins where you got to put on the facade when you go out with your friends, be like, hey, I get to dress up in my best and be my best, and hooray, I got to show off a little bit. The guys kind of do the, not necessarily attracting women, but just being dumb, having a good old drink, laughing and joking, talking about the good old times, talking about their girls. I don't know. The women checking out, going out with their friends, making fun of their guys. I don't know what you do. But why would spending time with your friends be a happier time in your life than with a romantic partner? And here's why we're stuck in the catch-22 is because, number one, with social media, we don't go out nearly as often, which means we're stuck at home with our significant other, if you see it as being stuck. We don't join groups. We don't join organizations nearly as much. We don't socialize in person nearly as much. At the same time, groups apparently, when you get together, are racist. Let me explain. Now, there's many organizations, obviously, that have either based on what you're interested in. If you're a Star Wars group, you like to go to a Star Wars club. If you are a fraternity or sorority, you go there because you want to go to that certain fraternity or sorority because of what they do. Some like to party, some like to focus on business, some like to focus on community events, whatever your interest may be. But apparently, frat houses, fraternity houses, are crumbling across the nation because they're absolutely racist. And according to sfgate.com, which I'm assuming is San Francisco because they're the nutsos that like to say really absurd, crazy things, they say that according to the falling apart of the fraternities, it's because that they realize that there's a lack of diversity in fraternity chapters across the nation at different universities. And is it because it's ideologically different? Is it because they actually don't like minorities in there and they don't like to diversify? Or is it just because they haven't felt welcomed? Or is it just because they haven't tried or they're not interested? I don't know. But that's really one part of being a quote-unquote brother or a sister, being part of a fraternity or a sorority. That's one group thing that's still somewhat kind of hanging on, and it's crumbling because it's racist. So now, if you don't have diversity in the organizations that you are part of, then you're a bigot and you're racist. So you're not allowed to do that. But if you stay at home with your significant other, according to the science, then you're miserable and not as happy as if you are when you're with your friends. Can we ever win in society? I'm curious, can we ever actually just enjoy? Can we ever just be happy? Can we be happy with our significant other and look forward to spending time with them? Can we look forward to going to organizations and being with brothers or sisters or family or whoever else that you'd like to call your those members of that chapter or of that organization or of that group? Can you just go and be happy and enjoy instead of saying, wow, we are really lacking diversity here. We must be a bunch of jerks. We must be totally racist because we don't have diversity as much in our group here. We need to have a gay person. We need to have a black person. We need to have a woman. We need to have a transsexual. We need to have just a plethora. Then we would be totally happy and our endorphins would totally shoot up and we would be completely content with our organization. It's crazy what world we kind of live in. And the fact that we focus on this so much, it's almost to that point to where, you know, when you try to focus on a project too hard, and you look too deep into an issue and you just kind of speculate too much because you're over-analyzing an issue. Is that the point that we've come to in society? I'm just curious because it seems like right now we're just a bunch of miserable jerks. Either we're racist or we're unhappy. And when we're, that's according to the media, that's the way they're trying to pawn us off to be. Because right now we have dribbles like Joe Biden out there saying ridiculous, absurd things. And we're just like, wow, we're unhappy. I saw a bumper sticker actually today that said, fine, Biden, but I'm tired of this BS. Meaning, yeah, I guess I'll vote for him because I hate Trump, but I'm not happy about it and this needs to change. We're just miserable all across the board, according to the media. No, I'm not. Hopefully you're not. Hopefully we can find a little bit of enjoyment in life. But if you're not happy at home with your spouse, probably because you've been home with COVID for a long time and you're trying to work things out because, hey, we have to be around them all the time now, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Again, Mrs. Voice of Reason and I, we get along awesome. I love it when we get to spend whole days like working on projects together. I don't know if we've done it long stint. We've never tried it, but, you know, hey, maybe the whole COVID thing's different. But people are less happy at home, but yet if you go out to a group, then you're bigoted and racist and you're closed-minded because you're not thinking about the lack of diversity within your organizations that you actually like to be part of, which I just find really interesting. Here's what's trending here in the nation. If I can talk, let's do it.
What's trending today?
What's trending today? So Joe Biden has just shifted gears here just a little bit. Joe Biden was doing a public forum, a speech, a panel discussion on CNN, and was asked a question from a Trump supporter. I know. From a Trump supporter, and she was a farmer out of Iowa. I believe Iowa or Illinois. Had tipped to CNN on this one for the audio and asked a question about a farm and could Joe Biden deregulate and what he would do to help save small farms and small business with deregulation because the Obama administration, which she points out, by the way, did not do a very good job of doing so. And this is his response.
How are you feeling now, Julie?
Good evening. Overregulation puts an extreme burden on small and family-owned farms and is a contributing factor to many farms going out of business. Policies during the Obama administration, such as the rules under the Waters of the U.S. Act, threaten to increase that regulation, as does policies proposed through the Green New Deal, which your climate plan embraces.
No, it doesn't embrace home.
Excuse me, if I could finish.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Boom.
Apologies.
How do you plan to decrease the regulatory burden for farmers and businesses as a whole?
Ooh, very interesting. How are you going to deregulate small farms and businesses as a whole? Because the Water Act and everything that you guys did under the Obama administration totally stunk, and it made things very difficult. What are you going to do, Joe Biden, in order to try and deregulate so we can continue to survive? Because the large portion of bankruptcies and small farms were because of high regulations, because of partly of your previous administration. What are you going to do about it? I'm surprised they allowed that question on CNN. Now, when we come back, we have to take a break in a minute. So when we come back, we'll play the response to that. But gee willikers. Way to go, first off. Now, for any conservative to respond to that would be like, well, yeah, regulation's killing farms. And now she's a potato farmer, which means you would want to focus on potato farming, right? Focus on, well, hey, we want to deregulate so that way you can transport it easier. We want to make sure taxes are low so that way you can get the equipment you need and the help you need. We want to make sure that people are available for you to be able to hire to try and get these things and get the equipment and work the fields and do what you have to do. We're going to find ways to try and make life as easy and as convenient for you as possible as a small business owner and a farmer, because you are the livelihood of us and we don't want a potato famine like Ireland. Throwing that last part in as a joke because Joe Biden likes to say it's a bunch of malarkey. Your regulations, my friend, are a bunch of malarkey. We'll do that when we come back and see what his response was and whether it was appropriate or not. We got a lot to get to today here on a Friday. Let's have some fun. What do you say here on The Voice of Reason?
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on The Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with The Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosier-holic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hooser Media Network, visit us on the website at HooserReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
I figured it out. I realize why you listen to the show so much. I mean, we just read the story that if you stay home, then you're less happy with your romantic partner. If you go out and you have fun, then you're more happy with your friends, but then you're also bigoted and racist because you're not diverse in your friendships. I realize why you listen to the show. You got nowhere else to go. Got nowhere else to go. You're bigoted and racist according to the media if you go out and have an organization or a group that you go mingle with and friends that you go hang out with. And then if you stay home, then you're mentally less happy in your relationship and romantically with your romantic partner. So there you go. You're just not happy all over the board, or you're just an evil, jerk, close-minded bigot. And that's why you come to the show, is because you need an outlet and you need some friend to hang out with you and talk to you a little bit. So we're here for you. We're here for you. Welcome back in. Radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting all over the place. Appreciate you hanging out with us today very much. Joe Biden, how you doing, buddy? How you doing? I'm a little worried about you. How are you today?
I want to be clear. I'm not going nuts.
Okay, this is a hat tip to CNN and Fox 11 out of L.A. This is out of CNN here. The other one I got for you, too. That's a good one. So a question from a town hall on CNN from a Trump supporter about potato farming.
How you feeling now, Julie?
Good evening. Overregulation puts an extreme burden on small and family-owned farms and is a contributing factor to many farms going out of business. Policies during the Obama administration, such as the rules under the Waters of the U.S. Act, threaten to increase that regulation, as does policies proposed through the Green New Deal, which your climate plan embraces.
No, it doesn't embrace whole new.
Excuse me, if I could finish.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I apologize.
How do you plan to decrease the regulatory burden for farmers and businesses as a whole?
Ooh.
Two ways. Number one, as farmers, by dealing with you being able to put land in land banks, and you get paid to do that, to provide for more open space and provide for the ability of you to be able to be in a position that we are going to pay you for planting certain crops that in fact absorb carbon from the air. That's part of what the plan relates to in terms of agriculture and the environment.
Okay, hold on. Let's stop right there. So she's a potato farmer out of Iowa or wherever it was that she is, a Trump supporter, voted for Trump in 2016, which is the whole, how you feeling now there, Susie? She's like, shut up. I'm going to ask you a question. How are you going to deregulate? I'm a potato farmer. Your water rules killed us with the EPA. Your small business and small farming agricultural regulations killed us. That's the majority of bankruptcies from small farms. How are you going to counter this? Well, we're going to create a project with the Green New Deal to where you can buy land or we can sell you land, and then we'll pay you to use that land to plant things that actually put things back into the soil. Okay, that doesn't help the whole growing of the potato thing, but that's his plan. What else do you have to say, Joe?
But as it relates to, if you're talking about regulation that relates to fertilizer and water tables, that's a different thing. In the United States, in my state of Delaware, we have a $4 billion industry, chicken and poultry, and all the manure, quite frankly, that is a consequence of chickens. And so it's polluting the Chesapeake Bay. What we found out, we've invested a lot of money. We found out you can pelletize this and take out the methane, so you're in a position where you can use that fertilizer without the damage that was being done before.
All right, potato farmer out of Iowa, you need to know about fertilizers and you need to know about manure and how to pelletize it to get rid of the methane so that way we can save the environment, because you're a potato farmer and you need to know about manure from chickens in order to save the environment. And that's what my Green New Deal is about. And that's how I'm going to help deregulate you in order for you to be able to survive under my administration, because I'm going to deregulate it so you can learn about manure as a potato farmer. All right. The wisdom of Joe Biden. That needs to be a new segment on the show. What do you think? The wisdom of Joe Biden. When we come back, Congressman Bob Latta from the 5th Congressional District of Ohio. I'll tell you what a joke this guy is. Not Bob Latta, but Joe Biden. People are actually voting for him for president. Come on, man.
The voice of reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
The Hooser Media Network is way more than just the voice of reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast, Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book, Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hooser Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with The Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason, and I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back into the Voice of Reason on a Friday. Thanks for hanging out with us today, trying to cram that 10 pounds of reason into that 5-pound bag, trying to rebrand the millennial generation one radio listener at a time. No matter where you may be, radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting on the website at HooserReason.com. Looking at, by the way, the podcast numbers and looking at it by region and state, Texas. You guys are awesome. So we're based out of Kansas, and obviously that's kind of where we have the most amount of downloads. I've tried to be established here, been on the radio for about 5 years here in the Wichita area. But the state that almost has nearly as many downloads out of the state of Kansas is now Texas, just skyrocketed out of nowhere. Just boom. So we got a lot of listeners in Texas. We have a lot of listeners in California, which is our number 3 most downloaded state. In California. I don't know anybody in California or in Texas, which means you guys are awesome and we love you very much. So thank you for that. Then we have Ohio, Wisconsin, Virginia, and a few other states. So we are really again, we're almost in all 50 states, but those are the kind of the high ones with the most amount of downloads of the show right now. So thank you. That's cool. We appreciate you very, very much. But Texas, I love Texas. If I could move anywhere else outside of Kansas, it would be Texas. Really. Honestly, it would be. I would be like the Joe Rogan moving down there and just being like, "Yep, gonna get right into the culture there." I love it very much so. But one other state that I just came from just a few months ago that we love them very much up in that district up in the corner there, and we chatted with him. Since I've been there, we wanted to get him back on the show on a regular basis, but he's from the 5th Congressional District out of the great state of Ohio. It's Congressman Bob Latta is there now back in session in Washington, D.C., and we sat down with him earlier, and this is what he had to say. From District number 5 in the great state of Ohio, it's Congressman Bob Latta with us. Congressman, how are you, my friend?
Excellent. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great. I appreciate you joining us back on the show again. It's always good to talk to you. Now you're back in session, back in Washington, D.C. Is there any type of productivity getting done right now? Is it just the squabbling before election time? How's it look in D.C. right now?
Well, okay, I think the American people are just going to see the Democrats doing a lot of stonewalling and politicking. We're not really going to see very much done. They want to try to move a very short-term continuing resolution to keep the government funded until about December the 18th. But that'll be about the only thing of consequence, and a lot of these other things that they're putting out, like condemning the use of the word, the China pandemic. They don't like that, even though the Chinese communists didn't tell the rest of the world what was going on, let it spread. They went out and bought the personal protection equipment and everything else, and didn't alert anybody. So this is the kinds of craziness that we're looking at for the next couple of weeks here.
Wow. It's sad that we don't want to really address the serious issue here. I mean, there's still businesses shutting down. I mean, we're getting better. The unemployment rate's slowly getting better. We're slowly beginning to open up in different states. across the nation, but we're still struggling right now. And to try and do a continuing resolution for the budget to not really focus on some type of proper care or stimulus or second round of stimulus checks or something for this whole virus is a serious issue, but yet we can't come to an agreement on actually taking care of businesses and small individuals. I don't understand this.
Well, it's really important because during the what we had of the August work period, I was going across my 14 counties, and again, in Northwest, West Central Ohio, I have 60,000 manufacturing jobs, more than that before the pandemic struck. And I also represent the largest farm income-producing district in the state of Ohio. And, in the last several weeks, I've been going through my counties and going to businesses that received the Paycheck Protection Program help to make sure that they keep their employees on. And it's been a great success. And in fact, what I'm seeing across my district is I have, of my 14 counties, I have, in the last month, had 3 of my counties back in the 5% range of unemployment. And what they're all saying is we can't find people to work because when the Democrats had pushed that extra up to $600 per week on top of the unemployment that they were receiving, according to a number I saw coming out of the Senate, that meant that 68% of the people receiving that were making more money on that than they were at work. And so it's really getting people back to work, making sure our schools are open safely, and we want to make sure, we get life going, and we also want to make sure that we get a vaccine out there. And the Democrats are playing politics with that now with, maybe they can't trust the president when we're doing this, But I'll guarantee you one thing. If, heaven forbid, Joe Biden wins in November, the next day everything's going to look great.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure everything's going to look great there. Now, I'm glad you mentioned that with the vaccine because I've heard rumors that President Trump was working on a vaccine that we could potentially see one near election season time, about November, December-ish. The CDC had come out as well and said that it might be a little bit longer. And now people are saying that they're not very trustworthy of a vaccine because they're afraid that, number one, the FDA may pass it without the prior security measures or safety measures. And number two, a lot of people just don't want to take it anyways because they don't want to be mandated to take a vaccine once we do get one. So where are we with the vaccine right now? And do you think we're going to have one out here in the somewhat near future?
Well, serving on the Energy and Commerce Committee, we have the broadest jurisdiction of any committee in Congress. And so we also have health underneath of us. And it's a couple of months ago that we did have NIH, CDC, FDA, and the HHS testifying before us. I know it was Dr. Fauci that said that he was extremely confident that there would be almost a slam dunk. We'd have a vaccine first quarter of next year, and he was very confident that that would be even before that into the fourth quarter of this year. And I've also been in meetings and also had the Surgeon General on a call with my health professionals in Northwest Ohio a couple of weeks ago, and he's even talking that we could have something by the end of November. But I don't think you're going to see anything that people would be mandated to do it. It'd be like pretty much like people are asked to go out and get a flu vaccine every year, but that's not mandated. But I think that once it's out there, and again, I think that people have to remember that we have multiple companies, pharmaceutical companies out there are all working with, the government agencies to come up with a vaccine. So you're probably going to see multiple types of vaccines, maybe for people over the, senior citizens or people that might be younger. And you'll have this vaccine or different vaccines out there. But the big thing is once people, in my opinion, some people start getting vaccinated, they're going to feel a lot more confident again about, fully opening up, because I worry about, like, our poor restaurant owners out there. Yeah. I don't know how these people are going to survive by not having people able to either come in or have very limited seating in their restaurants.
Yeah, that's going to be very tough, and I know the restaurants are struggling. The bars and nightclubs have been struggling because those have been a target for sure to try and keep locked down during this pandemic. We're talking with Congressman Bob Latta from the 5th Congressional District of Ohio. Let's talk about agriculture for a second. As you mentioned, you have a large ag industry in your district, and I know the Mid-America region here, I know you guys are starting some of your fall harvesting when it comes to corn, soybeans, that sort of thing as well. trade-wise right now, how are we looking at during the pandemic? I know that we set a deal with China to try and buy some more, and I know soybeans have been going up with purchases from China, but commodity prices, and while the farmers are struggling during COVID-19, is it helping going into fall season and the harvest season, and are the commodity prices high enough that we might be able to sustain some of these farmers for a while?
Well, one of the things that the Democrats also don't like to mention is, the president said that if elected back in 2016, he'd do something about NAFTA.
Mm-hmm.
So, we have the USMCA out there now to make sure that we could open up our markets into Canada, into Mexico, and when you look at the amount of pork and also poultry that cross our borders, it's incredible. Same way with dairy. And so for those farmers, we want to make sure that it's just with our closest trading partners that we do have those markets open. With China, 55% of Chinese beans come from Brazil, 33% from the United States, and we want to make sure that we retain the number that we have and even increase it. And the president also said that he wanted to have better trade deals for Americans. And one of the things that we've been seeing is, in past administration, that President Obama didn't play hardball with the Chinese, and pretty much they decided, well, they could do anything they wanted.
Yeah.
So we have to make sure that our goods can flow. We also want to make sure that we have the security out there. Cybersecurity is a huge issue. When we look at Huawei and other Chinese companies out there that are on the telecommunications side, again, on energy and commerce, we have they passed legislation, signed into law for what they call rip and replace for our smaller telecoms out there and internet providers, because we don't want the Chinese to be able to take over our telecommunications systems. And I mean that just not just selling it to us, but bad things could be they could put in those with chips and things like that. So the cyber area is huge, and so the president's been out there. He's negotiated with a good number of countries, and I think we're going to see good action from it. Just like with the signing yesterday with Bahrain and the UAE with Israel at the White House.
Yeah.
President's reducing tensions in the Middle East, gets no credit for it. And just look what he's been able to do in 4 years. And he said that this is the type of agreement that he wants to bring forward to make sure that other countries in the Middle East sign agreements with Israel. It's amazing to see an Israeli airliner land at the UAE, I believe it was the other day. And the country that's really concerned about is Iran, because they're the largest sponsor of state terrorism in the world, and their sworn oath is to destroy Israel. And the last thing we want to see is all these Arab countries now signing agreements, peace treaties with Israel.
There it is. That was Congressman Bob Latta from the 5th Congressional District of the great state of Ohio, and we didn't get to air that full interview because we ran out of time, and we had some great stuff to talk about. So we're going to do what we've started to do with some of our interviews if we record them and we can't get all of it in there, is that we're going to make it a special feature on our podcast. So make sure to go to HooserReason.com and find our podcast on any of the podcasting platforms, Spotify, iTunes, TuneIn, all that good jazz. Plus, we are on the new Amazon Music podcast as well, which you can check out, but you can go and listen to the full one. We'll add that as a separate podcast on top of the show as a special feature to hear that entire interview. Goes about for another 5-6 minutes past what we already aired. So we'll do all that and more coming up here on The Voice of Reason. Lots to get to. Wrap it up a Friday. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station.
We're here for you.
Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com.
Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the program today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and have the show automatically downloaded to your phone or computer every single day. Just find us on any podcasting site or go to HooserReason.podbean.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon site, become the ultimate Hooserholic, and help us fight for conservative values every day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Now back to the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
It's so hard to believe that this show goes by so fast. It goes by so fast. Welcome into the show. Wrapping up the program today on a Friday. Appreciate you hanging out. Radio, TV, live streaming all over, no matter where you may be, all over the country and the world even. We get a few downloads outside of that as well. But in this country, especially the U.S. of A., America, baby. That's what we do. Check it out at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Become a Hooserholic. Listen to all the podcasts, all the special features. As we mentioned, we'll air the rest of the interview as a special bonus podcast that we'll upload here as well, so that way you can enjoy. It's another 5 or 6 minutes long. He talks about some legislation that he's proposing as well and putting on the House floor, and we appreciate what he's doing very much with Congressman Bob Latta out of the 5th District of Ohio. So make sure to check that out, not just the regular show podcast, but also the podcast of his special feature interview with the extended version. We'll call that, it's the Voice of Reason extended version that I think some actually enjoy. Have you ever heard, we got a few minutes left. I want to wrap up kind of on a fun note here and a good note as well, some positive news. Have you ever heard an interview with a sports guy, like an athlete, and sometimes you just cringe? You're like, do they even know how to speak? Because maybe they're just the meatheads and they don't focus on it. Maybe they've just been hit in the head too many times. Or maybe they're just, and again, we have a lot of listeners in California, not a knock on Californians, but some Californians are a little bit nuts. This was an interview out of Fox 11 out of L.A., about a surfer, and what his thought was with the surf, man.
Oh, bro, it's just like, dude, you get the best barrels ever, dude. Just like you pull in and you just get spit right out of them, and you just drop in and just smack the lip, whoop-ah, drop down, snap, ah, and then after that, you just drop in, you just ride the barrel and get pitted, so pitted like that.
There's a reason I talk about that, or the reason I play that. I swear there's a purpose for it other than just, do you want to hear that again? I mean, come on, that's just entertainment value by itself. Hey, how was that surf today, buddy?
Oh, bro, it's just like, dude, you get the best barrels ever, dude. Just like you pull in and you just get spit right out of them, and you just drop in and just smack the lip, whoop-ah, drop down, snap, ah, and then after that, you just drop in, you just ride the barrel and get pitted, so pitted like that.
Just like that, bro. All right. It's funny because those people vote. And all right, so nothing against it. Again, it's to each their own. And if that's the way you live your life, that's cool. That's fantastic. Well done. I hope that you know how to do basic common sense math or something. The reason I play that is because while we have voters like that is the new up and coming generation in a large part, we hear the news of Trump rails against, quote, liberal indoctrination of America's youth and latest culture, which is true, because as we see the protest, the anarchy, the unrest, probably from individuals like that have that type of intelligence level. Now, I'm sure you can surf way better than me because I've never surfed in my life, but nonetheless, that's probably that kind of mentality of going out and trying to burn down cities, of President Trump saying that we need to focus on education again, in order to try and clean it up, to try and teach how great this nation is, to actually respect this nation so we don't have civil unrest and try and burn down the country. Quote, we must clear away the web of twisted lies in our schools and classrooms and teach our children the magnificent truth about our country. We want our sons and daughters to know that they are the citizens of the most exceptional nation in the history of the world. He also claimed that that the left is attempting to destroy Martin Luther King's version for every child not to be judged by their skin color, but by the content of their character. He's spot on. It's sad because that's what's punching out of our education system in large parts, in the large suburban areas or the large inner city school areas, or maybe the kids that just don't care because they're in California and they just don't really care about what's going on. That's the mentality. I mean, who cares about the rest of the things? We have our surfing, we have our Twitter with Kim Kardashian, we have whatever else that entertains us. I don't need to focus on civics. I don't need to focus on the country. Who cares? And then when you hear about civil unrest, bruh, things must be really bad, dude. And like, whoa, and like, totally. I find that hysterical. And that's probably the intelligence level of many of these people protesting. I mean, in order to understand on how to fight it, we need to understand it, and therefore we need to kind of sink our head into it and try and see what's going on down there every once in a while, so we can kind of counter it. And if that's what's really going on.
Oh, bro, it's just like, dude, you get the best barrels ever, dude.
Yeah. Oh, man. We got to work ways to go with our education system. What do you say? Maybe this COVID thing with locking down schools could potentially be a good thing, where we could re-educate our children in the proper manner, not have them indoctrinated with a bunch of crazy left-wing lies and manipulations, or just say, hey, let's go to the surfing, shall we? Craziness. That does it for us today. It's a Friday. Drives me nuts. Oh, by the way, too, Minneapolis not doing any better either. We'll talk about that on Monday. Until then, this is the Voice of Reason. Be your own voice of reason. It's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Podcast going up a little bit here. Radio, TV, live streaming. We'll see you back here on Monday. We have a laundry list of awesome guests next week. Make sure to not miss a single day. Until then, have a wonderful weekend. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.